If you've got the day off, take a moment and salute the veterans. There's going to be a parade here in Greenville, probably activities all over eastern North Carolina, and I'll bet this gentleman sitting next to me will be involved in some of them. Congressman Walter Jones joins us in the studio live this morning. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I will be at Ayden, North Carolina, and they will have their Veterans Day and their Veterans Appreciation Day at 1 o'clock today.
All right, very good. I think there's something here in Greenville at 9. There's a parade this morning, and thank goodness the weather has cleared up. It looks like it's going to be a good day for you.
Absolutely beautiful.
And I believe I saw that you are going to be involved in this huge veterans event on Saturday morning.
Yeah, Jim has invited me. He knows that I have spent 7 to 8 years working to make hyperbaric oxygen as a treatment for PTSD and TBI. And we continue to battle Department of Defense on this.
What is TBI?
A traumatic brain injury.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it has been very frustrating. Jim's a big supporter of hyperbaric oxygen. He's doing a great job reaching out. And there are going to be a couple of a Marine and Army who have benefited from hyperbaric oxygen as a treatment, who now have more of a normal life than they would have been taking 20 pills a day. I really appreciate Jim putting this together.
It's really unbelievable what he's done. This gentleman, Jim Hooker, who is himself a veteran, just got involved in trying to help the guys that are coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, and he has put together a big event on Saturday morning that is free to the public. There are a lot of sponsors in the community. We chipped in and sponsored on this, and we're really excited about the fact that this event is coming up, and it's going to be at 10 o'clock at Covenant Church on Saturday morning. So please come out and be a part of that on Saturday morning.
It'll be a real
And you're speaking, right?
Yeah, I'm one of many. I mean, he's got several speakers, and my whole purpose in being there is to talk about how we need to give hyperbaric oxygen as a treatment instead of depending on pills and other type of treatments. Hyperbaric oxygen has proven. Dr. Harsh down at LSU came to Washington about 2 weeks ago. We had a meeting with Senator David Vitter from Louisiana in his office with the Department of Defense. We're trying to get 10 Marines from Camp Lejeune that LSU has said they will treat them free of charge. And we're fighting DOD to give the approval, and they have not done it yet.
What is the issue there? They're saying that it's not an approved treatment for.
Right, that's it.
So their insurance won't pay for it.
Well, no. The DOD they've done study after study, but they say that they do not come to the same conclusion.
Oh, so they don't believe
those who have like Dr. Harsh, who's an expert in this, and there are many other experts. Jim's very familiar with this. It does help. It does work. And why in the world would you not give a veteran with PTSD, TBI, whatever it might be, why not give them a treatment?
Give them whatever.
There has, in all the years of hyperbaric oxygen as a treatment, there has never been but one Marine or soldier that committed suicide, and he was a double amputee, had other issues. And then we got 20, all these that have been medicated. Too many of them are committing suicide. This is going to be a great day. I hope people will be there.
We had the young man in here who came in with Jim a few weeks ago that talked about he was at the end of his rope and considering suicide.
Right.
These are our veterans. These are our folks who, they're in the shape that they're in because they fought for us. They showed great valor. They showed great courage in going to Afghanistan and dealing with the issues that are threatening our very freedom. And we're not doing enough to help them, obviously. And so listen again. Jim Hooker we gave him the Hometown Hero Award last Friday morning, but that's not enough. He really deserves more than that.
He does, and there's so many people in this country who are strong advocates of hyperbaric oxygen as a treatment. And you're right, why not give a treatment to those who have done so much for our country that won't hurt them?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Medication can hurt you.
Yeah.
So that's another story.
I know your message today will be one of thank you and saluting the veterans, but while you're on the radio this morning, and we have a lot of listeners down around Jacksonville, Camp Lejeune, and Cherry Point, A lot of folks we hear from that listen to us that are active military now. What's your message today to veterans?
Well, I think, Henry, my biggest message is that we in Congress need to meet our constitutional responsibility. If we want to honor those who are our veterans and honor their friends who did not come home, then we should not allow a president, whether it be a Democrat or Republican, to continue just to send troops over there without any action of Congress. And let me make the point very quickly. We wrote John Boehner back in the fall of 2014 and asked him to please allow us to have a debate on the floor of the House. He never did. He said, well, let President Obama send us a new AUMF, Authorization of Military Force, AUMF. So in February this past year, President Obama sent us an AUMF. Here we are on Veterans Day, and we've never had a debate, not one debate. I have a letter here that Tom Cole, a Republican, Barb Lee, Democrat, McGovern, a Democrat, Jones, a Republican, and Peter Welch. We sent to Paul Ryan asking him to let us have a debate. The president is already sending more and more troops. Some of the things I've heard in classified status, I cannot mention today, but it's been in the paper that we've gotten roughly 50 of our military over in Syria. But we've had no debate. We want to honor the veteran and thank the veteran for what he or she has done for this country. Then let's meet our constitutional responsibility, because they raised their hand and swore to uphold the Constitution, yet Congress doesn't do it. I get very frustrated by it.
God bless you. Since Paul Ryan is now the new Speaker of the House, one of the things that you never could get a debate on, you couldn't get past, even though you had bipartisan support, including G.K. Butterfield's co-signing, was naming the new federal courthouse here in Greenville for our friend Randy Dabb. Is that going to go anywhere now that John Boehner's out of the way?
Well, let me put it this way. On that situation, my problem was Kevin McCarthy. And I will tell you that long before I wrote the letter to Kathy McMorris about anyone running for leadership in the Republican Party needed to make sure they had no skeletons in their closet, I went to Mr. Butterfield. He thought the world of Randy Dabb, and as I did, and I said, GK, I said, the leadership is not going to move my bill. The committee had already authorized it back in May. I said, will you please introduce the bill? And I had talked to Peter DeFazio, who's the ranking member, and asked him to just explain it. I said, they won't move the bill because it's got my name on it, but if Mr. Butterfield could get this done, I give him all the credit, and I'll be there to say thank you.
So where does it stand?
Well, he's put the bill in, and
right.
I have a feeling that probably sometime in the spring they'll move it.
Good.
But you know, I got kind of some recognition about my letter, and I don't think that had one thing to do with Kevin McCarthy stepping down. But
do you not really?
Well, I hope not. So.
Are you saying that slyly? I think you are. I think it had a lot to do with Kevin McCarthy stuff.
Well, it was probably one of several things that played into it. I put it that
20
way.
minutes in front of 9, Congressman Walter Jones. Everybody in the studio live, Congressman Walter Jones, and we are talking about all sorts of issues. He's going to be in Aden today for a
1 o'clock
celebration, 1 o'clock.
They do just like everywhere, Greenville included, Farmville. They all do a very good job, and it's so meaningful. And I hope that those of us who did not serve would take the time to go and be part of the celebration of our veterans.
Very good. I hope everybody will do something to honor our veterans today, or if you can't do something today, then there's the Saturday morning option.
Oh yeah,
for the
that's going to be
big event here in Greenville.
A very educational event. I know there's a young couple that I met from Maryland. Chuck, he's a gunny sergeant in the Marine Corps, and his wife Elizabeth Rotenberry. They're coming down from Maryland. She had told me the story, and I've talked to him by phone, but not in person yet. I want to get him over for lunch one day in Washington, that he had PTSD so severe, Henry, that he, like the gentleman you were talking about that was on your show, many times thought that he would have been better off if he had lost a limb, and wished he had lost a limb, because his pain and his injury is not seen. But
Right,
it's deep.
Yeah.
And they're coming down from Maryland to give their story. And the sad thing about their situation, their family, when he retired from the Marine Corps, they spent their own money to send him down to LSU to be treated by Dr. Harsh with hyperbaric oxygen. And his whole life has changed.
No kidding.
That's one reason they're coming down.
When you hear those stories, you wonder why the Department of Defense wouldn't authorize it no matter what. I mean, even if they consider it to be experimental.
Well, Henry, they provide yoga, they provide acupuncture, they do all these things now. And hyperbaric oxygen, there's been research done, and I don't know why there's a bias against it. I can't quite figure it out. And we battled this thing for at least 6 or 7 years, truthfully.
Congressman Walter Jones, did you watch the debate last night?
I watched it for about an hour, and
it's pretty boring, wasn't it?
Well, I did see my friend Rand Paul step out for a change. And I think in a way that I guess when you finally get it down to about 5, I thought last night was a better debate than before because you had fewer candidates. They got a little bit more time. I don't know if the quality was any better, but they did have more time.
And they talked more about issues last night.
Right. Yeah. I think that was very important. I don't know if it was a winner or a loser, but, and there'll be another debate in 4 or 5 weeks, and that's just the way it works till we start getting into the primaries, and I believe the first one's in January in Iowa.
Right. You sticking with Rand Paul? I know you've been with him all the way.
Well, until he says he's not a candidate.
But I mean, he just why has he not had the traction that we all thought that he might?
Henry, I don't know. He was on your show one time about a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I think in a way it has to be the campaign. I don't think, and I don't know anyone to blame for it, maybe him, to be honest about it. But I don't think the campaign's done a very good job of promoting him and his positions.
The other thing, too, I think we may have talked about this the last time you were here. It's been such a challenge for everyone to get any attention away from Trump.
Absolutely.
And if Trump let's just say Trump were not there, and then a guy like Rand Paul might be able to shine a little bit.
No, I think you're right. I mean, Ted Cruz, you got Rubio, and I mean, Carson's getting his own recognition, and I think you're right. I think that Donald Trump getting in it so quickly overwhelmed everybody.
Yeah,
I really do, even the American people.
I'm still overwhelmed. Could you get on that train?
I don't know. I would tell you that I am so concerned about the influence of money in Washington.
Yeah,
that maybe a man, which he's about the only one I know that can finance his own campaign. I don't know. Maybe it would be different, but only when Rand says that I don't think I can continue, then I'm going to start looking.
I mean, it's got to be soon. It looks like some of these guys are going to have to drop out soon. You wonder why guys like Jindal are still there, and I know. I look at Rick Santorum and I wonder, is he just trying to stay relevant so he can be paid to do speeches? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Why do guys like that stay in? I mean,
I think
it seems like Santorum's been running for president for about 20 years now.
It's the super ego that many of them have.
Really?
Yeah, and. Yeah. I mean, the fellow from Virginia, Gilmore, I don't know why he stays in it, but he has a pretty good story once he gets started. But I do think that once we get down to 4 or 5, and we're at 8 now, I think, but I think then people will start really identifying, well, that's my candidate or that's my candidate. So I think we're getting close. I really do.
You're going to be faced in Congress with having to decide about what to do about the continuing resolution. That's going to be the next big news story coming out of Washington. I believe I think you told me during the break it's December the 11th.
December the 11th.
You have to have a vote by December 11th.
December the 11th.
And the national debt is now approaching $20 trillion.
Well, what John Boehner did to give a blank check to Mr. Obama that many Republicans did not vote for, that blank check will say to President Obama, we will not deal with the debt ceiling again until March of 2017. How much money will we spend in that time? The estimate is that that in 2 years it will add approximately $1.2 trillion to the national debt. That will put us right at $20 trillion. And Henry, I brought this real quickly. I get so anxious with all the wasted money in Afghanistan. The former Commandant of the Marine Corps, Chuck Krulak, has been my advisor on Afghanistan for 6 years now. And I emailed him recently because there was an article that said that the Department of Defense had lost millions of dollars in a poorly run program to teach the Afghan military to read at a first grade level. A first grade level. All right, so I emailed the Commandant. This is what he says. We actually built a strategy around training the Afghan Army, who are 95% illiterate, who have no loyalty to their nation, and who have no desire to die for its leadership. And we thought this strategy would work. Insanity. I don't know. See, that's what I get so frustrated about. I see the needs right here in eastern North Carolina. And I see the billions of dollars wasted over there, and my party and the Democrats keep spending more and more money over there that's wasted and not even accounted for. There's got to be a day of reckoning. It's going to destroy this nation.
It is crazy. If people knew how the money was actually spent and thrown away, it would make them crazy.
It would. There would be a real revolution, and I mean a real revolution.
Especially when you've got such needs here. You know, you hear about trying to teach Afghan children to read. How about let's teach
these are the soldiers we're trying to teach to read at a first grade level.
Oh, it's the soldiers.
The soldiers in the military.
Oh, I got you. I missed that.
And the soldiers in the military, we're spending millions of dollars to teach them to read at a first grade level.
Okay, I missed that.
And it's not going well.
Yeah. So, well, I relate that to how about let's teach kids in America to read at first grade level.
No, you're right. Well, and I guess you saw it also that a week ago, they acknowledged that the DOD has spent $43 million to build a natural gas filling station in Afghanistan that should have cost $300,000.
How much they spent?
$43 million to build something that should have cost $300,000.
Was it just waste or just?
It's just typical. That's where John Sopko, and that's the reason I vote against some of these bills, and sometimes it's got good things in it, like the Department of Defense, good things. But, when you see the waste, am I supposed to be part of the problem, or should I try to be part of the solution? I'm trying to be part of the solution and save this money for the American people.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's frightening to hear, and it's frustrating to hear. But we appreciate you fighting the good fight.
Play a laugh track right now.
You want to replay the laugh track?
Yeah.
Create some levity. We're about out of time. Anything else you want to add this morning?
Well, Henry, just to say that to the veterans, you have earned every benefit, and I want to do, as long as I serve, everything I can do to protect your benefit. Do not let Uncle Sam take 1 cent away from you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Congressman, good to see you.
Thank you, my friend.